Hello, good morning. Leah here with your Wednesday Newsround coming up.
Welcome to Wimbledon, so a massive weekend for tennis.
Hello and welcome to Washington, D.C. I'm Leah, live in America's capital city on a truly historic day.
Because of the historic vote by adults for the UK to leave the European Union, there are loads of questions over what might happen now, and one of them is about the future of Scotland.
Right, sport, and Leah is back.
Hi, morning. A big day at Wimbledon today. Andy Murray and Johanna Konta are both fighting for a spot in the quarter-finals. If they do get through, it'll be the first time since 1973 Britain's had a man and a woman in the last 8.
It's got high tech and high fashion, busy modern cities and stunning ancient history.
Welcome to Japan.
A place of colour and beauty where kids today can play in peace.
But one part of Japan will be remembered for one thing. It happened 70 years ago and it changed the world forever. As you can see, it's like any other city, but right here is a reminder of the past. This is the atomic bomb, or A-bomb dome, and it was the only building left standing. It's been kept exactly the way it was when the bomb dropped to remind people what happened.
こんにちは。こんにちは。よくいらっしゃいました。遠いところ。
Bun, it's a pleasure to meet you. Can you tell me your story?
The islands of Leyte and Cebu were hardest hit. I travelled to Cebu to see how children are dealing with the disaster.
When we came back to our house, Lazogan, and my father, my mother and I looked for some roof to use for us to shelter from the rain.
Where are you staying now?
We are in our house. We have our temporary roof.
It's okay. It's hard, isn't it?
It's really hard.
Is it important then for you to come to school?
Yes, it is. Because in school, maybe I can earn after I graduate in the future. I hope so, that I can help my family in return.
I know you'd been to the Philippines before, so quite a shock for you to go back this time and see the impact, especially on children.
Absolutely. When we were there in May, we were doing a whole episode about typhoons, how they happen, how people battle the typhoons. So going back and seeing people in the midst of this typhoon was incredible. Despite the fact that they were upset and, you know, they'd lost their homes, there were also stories of positivity and bravery. One little girl told me that, you know, she doesn't want to be a victim and that the people of the Philippines will be remembered for getting back on their feet and not be remembered for this typhoon. So this is where the refugees end up. This is Zaatari. Now, we know 1 million people have left Syria. Half of those are children. And right now, around 100,000 people have made this place their home. The people that run the camp say resources are stretched and that they're fighting to keep up.
You know what, I'm all for change, and if that's the decision they've made, good for them. And you know, Mel and Sue make a massive part of the show for me when I was there, but there's nothing wrong with change, and you know, I just hope it does really well wherever it goes.
Some of our viewers have also sent in pictures of their bakes for you to judge. An 8-year-old Tyler has sent in a photo of his vanilla buttercream Victoria sponge. That's not easy to say this early in the morning. And he asked you whether you'll consider presenting Bake Off on Channel 4. Have you been asked? What do you think of his picture, by the way, as well? So many questions.
That's so many questions. That's a lot of questions all in one. That's a great cake. And you know what? I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I loved judging Junior Bake Off. For me, you know, I'm doing some fantastic things, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing at the moment.
So no offers so far from Channel 4.
Now, there are more than 150,000 children and young people living in the UK with a stammer. And we've been to meet a boy who hasn't let his problems with his speech get him down. He's now the voice of a national stammer awareness campaign. Here he is.
The people of Japan say this eternal flame will stay lit until there are no more nuclear weapons in the world.
After such a terrible event, there's no bitterness here. The people of Hiroshima want the world to know what happened to their city to prevent it from ever happening again. I'm left with a sense that whatever people go through, however tough, it doesn't have to stay that way. And there can be hope out of some of the darkest times. That's all from me and the Newsround team for now, but don't worry, we're always online. That's at 4:20. Have a great day. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
This is BBC 5 Live.
Time for the headlines on Drive then. Thames Valley Police have confirmed that an officer killed while on duty last night was dragged along by a vehicle. PC Andrew Harper was investigating reports of a burglary in Berkshire. Well, Bryn Hughes is the father of PC Nicola Hughes, and she was one of 2 police officers murdered in a gun and grenade attack as they investigated a hoax burglary back in 2012 in Greater Manchester. Bryn, welcome to Drive.
Thank you.
I mean, days like this must take you back to your own experience.
They do, yeah. It's almost instantaneous. You're back in that moment, and just the sheer devastation is just immeasurable.
Take us back to when Nicola first told you she wanted to be a police officer. I mean, were there any alarm bells back then?
I didn't really have that concern, but she may ultimately lose her life. I knew we'd spoken about there will be times where she'll be, involved in fights and assaults, but you don't, in your wildest nightmares, go to that deepest, darkest place that you think may happen.
And for you, in the days after you lost Nicola, what happened and what sort of support did you get?
You don't have time to grieve because it's so fast moving, and you only have to turn the TV on or the radio on, and you hear your son, your daughter, your husband, you hear their name, and it not quite true at the time. You're trying to process what's happened, but you're doing it in a huge media spotlight.
And of course, losing someone in such a horrific way, do you ever come to terms with it? You spoke there about the media attention, it feeling like quite a surreal experience for you.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if somebody could come up with a better phrase and coming to terms and moving on and things, I think that'd be a lot more acceptable, because you never come to terms with it. The pain, the pain lessens. It gets a lot easier as time goes on, no doubt about it. But then you've got days like this which bring it all back again.
This is BBC 5 Live.
I have a Yorkshire Terrier who was my mum's pet, and she passed away 3 years ago. My sister now looks after her. But it goes back to Tony's point about, am I strange? Like, what popped into my head was I actually worry about that dog passing away.
You're really not strange. And as a support service, we have 12,000 people a year at the moment phone us and email us when they actually suffer the loss. So, it is perfectly normal. You're not strange. The relationship, if my dog could talk, he could write a bestseller, because he's my confidant, he's a part of our family. And I think the unconditional love that you get off an animal is like nothing that anyone else can ever experience.
Thank you, Dan James from Blue Cross. Leah, it's been a pleasure to work with you this week.
Tony.
Thank you very much for your company.